So, you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny Cattani, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithcattani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jonny Cattani. Today, I'm joined by Dmitriy Fomichenko. Dmitriy is the founder and president of Sense Financial Services, LLC, a boutique financial firm specializing in self-directed retirement accounts with checkbook control. He began his career in financial planning and real estate investing in 2000. He owns multiple investment properties in various states and is a licensed California real estate broker. Over the years, he has taught hundreds of investors in financial planning seminars and has mentored thousands of investors. Dmitriy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Looking forward to today's conversation. Like I mentioned off camera, it's always nice to bring to light some of the conversations that don't happen too often. Today being primarily focused on investing using your solo 401k. Before we get to that, let's kind of go back to the beginning. We mentioned in the intro, 20-something years ago, you were in financial planning and started real estate investing, but what brought you to that and how did you discover all of that?
Well, it's kind of, as they say, being at the right place at the right time. And I worked with a local real estate investment firm, and there was a need. We actually worked with several self-directed companies. None of them really worked out long term. So I was asked to start a department and within the company. And I basically have done all the research, met with the industry experts, and put the department together, and we started helping our clients there. And then about a year later, I did transition on my own and started Sense Financial, and that's what we do right now. We create these self-directed retirement accounts with checkbook control. So that's our specialty.
Awesome. I love it. And is it all retirement accounts, all kind of QRP status?
Well, our focus is on checkbook IRA, which is also known as a IRA LLC or IRA owned LLC, and a solo 401k. QRP is just a general term for qualified retirement plans, and there are a number of retirement plans that fall into this category, and solo 401k has been one of them.
Awesome. Makes perfect sense. So what are some things, and we'll kind of jump into it, that I've noticed lately, just not a lot of education out there. So what are some things, kind of some misconceptions and some things you're doing to help kind of educate people, to help them understand that they have this tool in their tool belt to use for alternative investments?
Well, many people not even aware that you can self-direct your IRA or 401k. And when talking about self-directing, some people also have a misconception that you can only self-direct within confines of the brokerage, or you can self-direct only in the stock market. But that's not truly a self-directed account. If all you can do is self-direct your brokerage account, then you're still within one investment class. A truly self-directed account allows you to have pretty much unlimited diversification, unlimited investment options. And the fact is that the limitations that we see with conventional retirement accounts, with IRAs and 401ks, with traditional brokerage firms like Fidelity and Merrill Lynch and so forth, they're limited to the stock market investments or confined to the stock market. And those are the rules or boundaries that those brokerage firms set. IRS doesn't have those boundaries. In fact, IRS doesn't even have a list of investments that are allowed, rather than given the list of allowed investments, IRS says, okay, there's certain things that you cannot do, and there are just a handful of them. So you got to abide by those rules, and you can basically invest in virtually anything. So that's number one, is that you can invest your IRA into private business. You can buy investment property in your retirement account, and that can be a rental property in your hometown, or it can be you can invest into a larger multifamily deal in another metropolitan area, and even beyond the United States. I have clients who invested in real estate in other countries like Canada and South America and Japan and Europe. You can do that.
Wow, interesting. Okay. So you mentioned that there's only about a handful of things you can't do. Obviously, easier in this scenario for the IRS to say, hey, here's what you can't do. The rest is, up to you. So what are those things that you cannot use it for?
Yeah, so there's a couple of investments that are not allowed, and that's the collectibles. So anything that is considered collectible, IRS doesn't want you to invest your retirement funds in. And a couple of examples, collectible artwork or collectible coins or stamps, collectible automobiles. You cannot own collectibles in your retirement account. And also for IRAs, you cannot invest in life insurance contracts. But other than that, any investments can be placed in your retirement account. In addition to that, there is a disqualified person rules, and disqualified person is defined as the account owner, so basically yourself and your immediate family members, so your spouse, your parents, grandparents, your kids and grandkids and their spouses. So basically a vertical line, just for to make it easy to remember, vertical line. Your siblings or your uncles and nephews are not considered disqualified, but immediate family members, IRS says that these individuals cannot be engaged in any transaction with a qualified plan. To give an example, if you buy a rental property and you will not be able to lease it out or rent it out to your child or to your parents, even if they pay market rent, you personally cannot stay in that property yourself. Let's say if you buy a vacation rental as an investment in your IRA or 401k, you will not be able to stay in that yourself because you'd be considered receiving benefits. And then in addition to that, this disqualified person is not allowed to provide any services to the plan. So again, example, if you're a real estate agent, you cannot represent your 401k in a transaction, whether it's a buy or sell. And if you're a handyman, you cannot work on the property that your IRA or 401k owns. So that will be considered providing the services. And then it kind of related to this is financing, because some people also, that's another misconception, think that you have to pay cash for the property if you're buying it with your IRA, but that's not correct. You can finance purchase of an investment property in your retirement account, but you're not allowed to provide a personal guarantee. Therefore, you can't use conventional financing because conventional financing will want you to sign a personal guarantee for the loan. That's not going to work in a case of an IRA or 401k. So you have to use a non-recourse financing. And non-recourse basically means that you personally do not guarantee the loan. The property is the only security for the loan. Most banks and lenders and mortgage companies, they don't offer this kind of financing. So you'd be limited who can provide these loans. But there's about a dozen lenders that specialize in this. And those loans are relatively easy to get if property qualifies.
Okay, awesome. I really appreciate that insight. That's really good to know about the disqualified and not providing services. Obviously, a very important detail. especially because a lot of people, if you only have a few properties, are probably going to be looking to self-manage. So something to be aware of. But sort of along the lines, you can also be a limited partner, right? So, like in a syndication, for example.
Yes, many of my clients do invest in passive deals like that using their retirement accounts. So your IRA or 401k can be a limited partner in a larger deal. It's a great way to grow your retirement funds. You're passive, you're not personally not participating in any activity, you're just passively investing and your retirement account benefits.
Absolutely. Yeah. Huge benefit for sure. So what does that process kind of look like? Let's say, they move the account to you guys. So it's in your control. You're the custodian now. What does that process look like in terms of, becoming an investor in whether it's syndication or some other alternative investment?
Well, maybe to help your listeners get a better perspective on this, before we jump into this, I think it's makes sense to also clarify about the solo 401k, since you wanted to focus on that.
Yeah.
What is it and who is this for? So if you allow me to just spend maybe a minute or two explaining that.
Yeah. Take as much time as you need. Absolutely.
So a solo 401k is a qualified retirement plan, which is designed for those people who are self-employed or own a business. So it's not for everyone. Anybody can have a self-directed IRA, but when it comes to a solo 401k, it's not for everyone. Again, you have to have a legitimate self-employment activity or a business without full-time employees. So that's the key. Now, you can still have a full-time job, or you can have a W-2 employment and you can do something on the side. Many of my clients do that. Yeah, I have clients who have their W-2 jobs and they're well-paying jobs and they like to keep them, but they do something on the side, like maybe being a real estate agent, or maybe doing some consulting, or maybe flipping a property or two. That's their business. Or maybe somebody is driving for Uber on the side, a weekend or two a month. So that's their side business, and the benefits are they generate extra income, and that makes them eligible for a solo 401k. Now, solo 401k, unlike an IRA, does not require a custodian. So there is no custodian, there is no middleman with the solo 401k. With an IRA, whenever you open an IRA, you have to open it with a custodian. So there is a third party who holds the funds of your IRA, and you have to go through that custodian for each transaction that you're making, whether you just buying an investment property or sell an investment in your IRA, or you have to pay expense that are related to the investment property. Well, with the solo 401k plan, it's set up as a trust. So there is no custodian, there is a trust created specifically for the 401k, and the client becomes the trustee. Now, as a trustee, client controls the trust. So a client can open a business checking account in the name of the 401k trust, and as a trustee control that business checking account. So he's essentially a signer on the checking account. And as a trustee, they make the decision how they're going to invest. So they, let's say, identify either it's an investment property, or they identify maybe a syndication. So they want to invest in this large multifamily deal with a syndicator, and they contact them. Then they sign the paperwork, and that's going to be in the name of the 401k trust. So the 401k trust is the investor, and the client, as the trustee, has the authority to sign all the paperwork, all the documents on behalf of the 401k trust. And once the documents are executed, then the syndicator will provide wiring instruction or funding instructions, and you can simply wire the funds from your 401k checking account into that syndication. So it's pretty straightforward. And then you can set up ACH deposits into the same account for the income from that investment.
Okay, awesome. That's really good to know. that you don't necessarily need a custodian, because the solo and 401k is relatively new, right? It's only been around 07 or.
Well, they're not quite new. They're newer than an IRA, but they've been around for quite some time. It just they're not as well known as IRAs, but they've been around for quite some time.
Got it. Okay. And then in terms of, where you said it doesn't need a custodian, but it's still hosted somewhere in some sense, right?
Well, like I said, it's we create a trust. Okay, trust is an entity. A trust has its own unique name and it has its own unique tax ID number that is assigned by the IRS. And then the client is the designated trustee. So the trustee client controls the trust. So then client can open a checking account in the name of the 401k trust at the bank, and that's what the funds are. So there is literally no middleman. Sense Financial or we as the document provider, that's our role. We create the plan, we maintain the plan documents, IRS compliant, we're responsible for the annual sponsor reporting, we're responsible for updating the plan documents so to ensure IRS compliance. But we never touch investments or funds of our clients. Their 401ks and assets of their 401ks are 100% under their control 100% of the time. So those funds never go to us or through us. We don't have any access to those funds. We simply provide service of creating the vehicle. I like to use this illustration, Jonathan, is that let's say you're shopping for a new vehicle, right? And you go to a dealership and you do a test drive. And then you decide on the model, you decide on the vehicle that you want to purchase. You go to the finance office, you sign the paperwork, and then dealer hands you the keys. You get in the car, in the driver's seat, and you drive off the parking lot or dealership lot. The dealer is not there with you. So you're making the decision where to go. Dealer is not there. Now you can come back to a dealer for maintenance and oil change and so forth, but you are in charge. And that's kind of a similar concept where we provide the vehicle, but you drive it.
Awesome. I love that analogy. Thanks for that description. That makes perfect sense and definitely helps in kind of understanding that. When I was a broker for a long time, we had clients who had 401ks and things like that, but it was primarily used for the stock market, of course. So do you allow that as well, or do they then use that entity to open an account at a brokerage firm if they want to invest in the stock
exactly
market?
Yeah, so there are no limitations on what they can invest in other than what I mentioned earlier, that IRS places. So they certainly can invest in conventional investments like a stock market, and all they have to do is just open a brokerage account in the name of the 401k trust. So think of the 401k as an umbrella. So under this umbrella, they can have a checking account with cash, which then they can use to buy a investment property or invest in a syndication. So they can have a checking account, they can own a piece of real estate, and they can also own a piece of or own a brokerage account under the same umbrella of the 401k and have some mutual funds or stocks. In addition to that, they can buy some precious metals such as silver and gold, or they can open an exchange account and invest in cryptocurrency, which also been popular lately. So again, there is no limitations. You make the decisions how to invest your funds.
Awesome. I love that. What an incredible vehicle that we have access to. And like you mentioned before, a lot of people just unaware. So it's great to give that education. So along that line, you obviously, are you still doing financial planning and things like that? And what are some things that you're, in terms of education, you're helping people understand when it comes to financial planning and being responsible and setting ourselves up for the future?
Well, I've done, that's my background in financial planning. We don't offer this service, or as a service here at Sense Financial. Again, our niche is we're like kind of like a In-N-Out burger, right? In-N-Out burger just has 2 or 3 items on the menu. Compare that with McDonald's, which has dozens of items. So this is our niche. That's what we specialize in, and we're experts in self-directed checkbook IRAs and solo 401ks. That's pretty much all that we offer.
I love it.
Given my background in investing and financial planning, occasionally I do have a conversation with clients, and people ask me a question, and we might kind of go into that area occasionally. But again, primarily we focus in on these accounts that provide all the power to our clients and ability to invest those funds.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that's the quality, and obviously allows you to provide that quality service because you focus so much on those. So kind of moving forward, I know, is there any legislation or anything you're keeping an eye on that may make changes to any of these vehicles?
There been some proposed legislations last year, which did not go through. And this is actually not the first time when there have been attempts to place certain limitations and eliminate ROT and so forth, but there is no major changes yet, and I don't anticipate any major changes in the foreseeable future.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I know that, like you mentioned, there's some wealthy people who have been taking advantage of, kind of the Roth conversions and different things like that. And sounds like they were potentially thinking about taking that away because missing out on revenue, tax revenue. So do you advise on, because obviously, you can invest in anything, but there's some things that apply, and there may actually be taxes depending on some of the business activity you're doing within your IRA or solo and 401k?
Yeah, good question. So retirement accounts are designed to be invested passively, okay? And example of passive investment is buying a rental property and renting it out as a long-term rental, or investing in that syndication, or being a private lender, or using your IRA or 401k as a bank and lending funds to others. When you engage in an active business, an example can be buying a franchise in your IRA. Well, number one, you personally cannot be involved in running that business, so you have to outsource everything. You have to hire a manager. But number two is that if there is a business income inside of a retirement account, then there is a tax which known as UBIT, or unrelated business income tax. So if there is a business income inside of a tax deferred vehicle, or some kind of a tax exempt entity like an IRA or 401k is, then those taxes will be assessed. Another example, flipping a property. So if you buy property and rent it out as a long-term rental, all of that income will be sheltered from taxes. But if you buy property and flip it, and if you do it, if there is a volume of that, if you repeatedly do that, and there is a volume of those transactions, then that will be looked at as a business, flipping business. And again, gains from that kind of a business will be subject to UBIT tax. And the reason it is there because, a good example, again, nonprofit down the road, some kind of a church, right? If you're flipping a property using your money, you're going to have to pay taxes on the gains. But what if a church decided to engage in flipping properties as well? Well, that's not their nature of their activity, which should be religious activity, and any donations that they receive, those will not be taxed. But if a church decides to get engaged in flipping, then it will not be fair for them not to pay the taxes on the same activity that you're doing, and you're paying the taxes. So that's how the UBIT rule was created, is basically to make the field level for everybody.
Okay, that makes sense. I really appreciate that explanation, because that was going to be my next question: is how do they determine and why it's there? So you mentioned that if you buy an investment property long term, that income will not be. Is there any threshold to where it becomes potentially UBIT, or can you just continue to grow that your portfolio and build that passive income and it remains sheltered?
If that income stays passive, then there is no threshold. It's the type of income. That's the key. So you can generate $1 million in passive income in your Roth IRA, and that's going to be tax free. But if the source of the income or the type of the income changes, and that becomes income from a business or active income, that's going to make a difference.
Got it. So the key is just not working. Well, one of the main keys is the fact that you're not working.
Having passive income. Not just, you cannot work in the business. That's number one. That's a separate issue. But number two, the type of income has to be passive, because again, if you own a franchise, you cannot work in it yourself, but the nature of the franchise, that's a business. That franchise will be some kind of a business that generates business income. So it's no longer passive income and no longer sheltered from taxes completely. So that income is going to be subject to unrelated business income tax inside of your 401k or an IRA. And then when you take distributions at retirement, assuming it's not a Roth, then you'd have to pay taxes, ordinary income tax on that income again. So that could make a big difference. You'd basically be taxed twice on the income. So you want to make sure that you're investing passively.
Awesome. Got it. That makes perfect sense. I really appreciate that and all of the insight. Really, like I mentioned, a very powerful tool that we can utilize. So what does it look like to get started with solo 401k? What's that process like?
Yeah, so the first, you need to be eligible. Again, if you have the legitimate self-employment activity or a business that qualifies you for a solo 401k, you got that in place. The second step is to get started, which is pretty straightforward. You will submit an order. You can contact our office, and we will then connect you with one of our account managers to work with on getting everything set up. And typically it takes just first you need to complete a client questionnaire, which we just need a basic information about you and your business. And that should take no more than 15 minutes to complete. And then typically within 2 to 4 business days, the plan is created. You will receive a packet from your account manager with all the plan documents and instructions how to execute that. Once you sign the documents, then the next step is to fund it. And you can fund it with either a rollover or making a contribution. And another thing that we did not touch, which I think we should, is one of the main benefits of the solo 401k is the ability to make significantly larger contributions compared to an IRA. With an IRA, you can only contribute $6,000 in a year for individual. With a solo 401k, that limit is $61,000 for 2022. So it's 10 times higher. If you, again, own a business or self-employed, the difference can be significant. Just think about this. If you also have your spouse involved in the business, then together you can put over $120,000 into this 401k, meaning sheltering that much income from taxes. The benefit of being a business owner or self-employed, unlike being an employee, because if you're an employee, you get a paycheck and there is a limit how much income you can earn. But if you work for yourself as a self-employed and you're good at what you do, the income potential is significantly higher. You can make a lot more. Now, with higher income comes a problem, which is taxation. The more you make, the more taxes you pay. Nobody likes to pay taxes, but just think about this. If you're able to shelter $120,000 of your income from taxes, you drop in your taxable income by 120 grand, which immediately gonna put you in a lower tax bracket. So you're gonna be paying on a smaller amount, a smaller percentage. So again, the savings can be huge, 30, 40,000 potentially in a single year. So, definitely something that every self-employed individual who's doing well should consider.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for making that point. That's a very, very great point. So I know that potentially with IRAs, you may be able to deduct your contributions, again, depending on your income. Is that the same with the 401ks then? Is if you make, a $60,000 contribution, that can be deducted essentially?
Yeah, just what I explained. Yeah, so 60,000 or 120,000 combined can be deducted from your income, essentially lowering your taxable income. So yeah, it's a tax shelter. You definitely can. The contributions are tax deductible.
That's sweet. All right, that's good to know. I appreciate that. And we will definitely be in touch because I definitely qualify. So definitely something I want to look into. Well, awesome. Very much appreciate all of this insight and for sharing your knowledge. We are kind of coming up on time. So we'll get to the final 5, which is the same questions I ask all of my guests. The first question is, what is the best advice you've gotten from a mentor?
What is the best advice I got from a mentor?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I can answer that directly, but I think I'm gonna something that I learned from the experience, not necessarily getting from the mentor, because when I started investing first, I didn't have a mentor, and maybe I'll rephrase that. What advice I wish I would have gotten from a mentor. Okay?
Perfect. I love it.
Which will be to understand the difference between investment and speculation. I think when I started investing, I've done well, but I think I also made some mistakes, and the mistakes that I made were some of the investments that I made were not really investments; they were speculations that I made. So there is a difference between investing and speculation. Investment will pay for itself, and you can hold on to that investment. It will withstand a test of time, but not so the speculation. So make sure you understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot more guessing with speculation and hoping that things go right. What is it about your career that makes you feel like you're fulfilling your why?
Well, I enjoy doing what I'm doing because I'm practicing what I'm doing. I'm using my own retirement account for investing in alternative assets and growing those on tax deferred basis. But I just enjoy helping people. I've been approached a couple times actually to sell a business, and I don't know what I will do if I did that, because I really enjoy helping people. It's really fulfilling to do that. So that will be the main thing. That's
awesome. I love that. Yeah, you can definitely tell you're passionate about it, and bringing up stuff that is important and not even people realize is there. So I appreciate that. Favorite non-real estate or investment related book?
You said non-real estate related?
Right.
Okay. My favorite book is Bible, and I read it every day. And Bible has a lot of wisdom for life in general, but also for finances in particular. And there's a lot of proverbs that speak to that. And if you apply those principles in your life, again, whether it's finances, whether it's a business, whether it's a family or raising children, if you're going to apply those principles, you're going to be successful. And if you ignore them, you're going to fail, because there's a lot of wisdom in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a few guests talk specifically about the book of Proverbs and those exact points. So that's awesome. I appreciate that. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I'm not sure I'd want to have any superpowers. I'm grateful for what I have. It's been a blessing just looking at my life. I spent more than half of my life here in the United States now. I'm an immigrant. I immigrated in this beautiful country, the best country on the planet Earth, I believe, from former Soviet Union. And it's been a blessing. I've been blessed beyond any measure with beautiful wife and amazing daughter and a business and just a community. And I'm not sure I want any superpowers.
That's totally fair. I really actually respect that humility. So thank you for sharing that. Definitely respect that. Awesome. Last one. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and learn more?
Probably our website, which is sensefinancial.com, and sense is like common sense. And the reason behind this name is because the financial concepts that we're talking about here, they make sense. Like I said, a lot of it based on Proverbs, and those are just proven principles that work. So our website, you can also find me on Facebook, you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can find me on Bigger Pockets. I'm active participant there on the forum and engage almost daily with questions.
Awesome. I love it. We will link the website in the show notes, make it super easy. Dmitry, thank you so much for all of your insight and your time.
Jonathan, it's been fun having a conversation with you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, you know it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.